quickly just chat with you and show you what I'm currently reading. William Faulkner, As I Lay Dying. So Faulkner is someone that I've heard about and have seen a lot of discourse on, like some people just being like, you don't read Faulkner for fun. The implication there is that he writes really heavy and deep stuff, and I feel like that's right up my alley. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what Faulkner's all about. This book I actually got in one of those free public libraries. There was a whole stack of Orange Spine Penguin classics, and yeah, I grabbed a whole bunch, and now I'm thinking that I need to go through my bookshelf and maybe find some things that I can donate and give back. It is a almost 40-degree day in Melbourne, Australia, so I want to spend the day doing some annotations and just catching up on my stack of books that I am meant to get through. I thought The Count of Monte Cristo I had finished, but turns out I left myself a little marker. I want to say I've got about 100 pages to get through, like everything else I have done except this last section. It'll be good to get that off the list because I didn't even know that was on the list. And then, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, I've got the Brothers Karamazov to finish annotating as well. But I do also want to reread this in 2026, so I'm like, I wonder if I just revisit and annotate then. So with those big books, I felt it was a bit jarring starting and then stopping reading so that I could annotate. So I ended up just sticking tabs as reminders to go back, but I have been really slack, and now I'm wondering if maybe I just don't do that because I feel like I'll end up accumulating a lot more books to catch up on, and I don't want that. My other book to annotate today is Yiyun Lee, Wednesday's Child. I did finish this collection of short stories. This one I have mixed feelings about. There were a few that I really liked, especially the self-titled story, Wednesday's Child. There's quite a few that revolve around death of a child. I had a sneaking suspicion that there were some autobiographical elements to the book, which was confirmed in the back acknowledgement of the novel. And yeah, it turns out that the writer did lose her child. There were some stories that I didn't feel quite connected to. Having said that, there were a lot of sentences and moments that stood out to me. It was not fair that her son did not live with only some minor fears, still, always, forever. That a person who expressed no interest in people could live with such a yearning for them. That a paramount fear of being alone could drive him away from the world. And another section from that is, but love songs were written to sugarcoat life's plainness, to exaggerate the pain of living with or without love, and they were meant to be sung only by ordinary people. And these are the other two that I need to finish annotating. We have here Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? And Anne Bronte, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. So this was on my 10 before the end that I recently finished, I think maybe 2-3 days ago, and I really enjoyed this. And I don't know if this is a bit scandalous, but I feel like I like this a lot more than normal people. I have started annotating this one here, but yeah, there's still a lot to catch up on, as you can see with all the tabs. The only thing I didn't like was the ending. I think from chapter 29 onwards, it just felt like Rooney was trying too hard to force a happy ending. They felt like different characters right at the very end, because all of a sudden all the things that were troubling them or the things that weren't working were. And yeah, I think it was too tied up and too perfect of an ending for it to feel real. But that's only one very small portion of what I didn't like about this novel. What I liked about this was the characters were kind of frustrating and had some insufferable traits, but they were also realistic. Like, they felt so real. I also really enjoyed the format of this book. So there are a lot of sections that are written as a epistolary, so written as a letter format or an email in this instance. I don't know why I did that. It is an email. Yeah, it was written as an email, and while a lot of people felt like the emails were pretentious and they were fact dumps, I thought it was really interesting. I think you're wrong about the instinct for beauty. Human beings lost that when the Berlin Wall came down. I'm not going to get into that argument with you about the Soviet Union, but when it died, so did history. I think of the 20th century as one long question, and in the end, we got the answer wrong. That section really got me thinking because it is such a harsh and deep criticism of the 21st century and the way our lives look now. And yeah, it's very interesting to see that romanticized idea of the past and to such a tumultuous era being looked at with such fond eyes. I think she posed a lot of really important questions. She posed a lot of themes that people are thinking about, especially in this day and age. I think this book also gave some really great insight to Sally Rooney's experience as a writer. There were a lot of moments that felt autobiographical as well. Have I told you I can't read contemporary novels anymore? I think it's because I know too many of the people who write them. I see them all the time at festivals, drinking red wine and talking about who's publishing who in New York. Complaining about the most boring things in the world, not enough publicity or bad reviews, or someone else making more money. Who cares? And then they go away and write their sensitive little novels about ordinary life. The truth is, they know nothing about ordinary life. The Tenet of Wildfowl Hall, I need to jump back in. This was a really great book. This is a piece of feminist literature. She really went out on a limb by writing all the things that she did, because I think for the period that it was published and the period that she was writing this, it would have been a very taboo subject, and not a lot of the things she would have touched on, like leaving your abusive partner and, you know, taking the child and standing up for herself and monetary independence, and even refusing her husband for sex. I think during that time, female autonomy, especially when it comes to intimacy with their partners, would have been looked at very differently, and it would have been an expectation for women to fulfill their, duties. So I think it was really powerful for her to write about all the things that she did and uphold that standard and that expectation of wanting to have a better life for herself and hold herself to a better standard, and wanting to escape a toxic environment, not just for herself, but for her child. I was very, very invested in this. It read almost like, I don't want this to come across as me finding such an important book in such a trivial way, but I think that the plot is so juicy that when you're reading it, you want to know what's going to happen. Like, there is so much gossiping and the judgment of society and the expectations of society that you really get invested in the novel, and you're curious as to how the community will take all these things that the main character is doing. And it is so interesting to see the way that society operated back then and how they're so quick to judge, and there are so many restraints put on women.